You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 196.4, the Combat Sports Report with Hanson Crafton.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Hanson, we haven't talked a lot of mixed martial arts lately, but we got a big UFC 313 on Saturday. Brazilian Alex Pereira against Magomed Ankalaev. I hope I said that right. Ankalaev. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Saturday in Las Vegas. The main card is at 10 o'clock on pay-per-view. The prelims are on ESPN Plus at 8 and Disney Plus, and the early fights are at 6:30. Hanson, tell me about this light heavyweight fight.
So it's a pretty big fight. I think I've mentioned Pereira on here before.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a superstar. He's a guy who really just got into mixed martial arts, and he's shot up fast. He's already a two-division champion, and like I said, he's a superstar. He's a big fan favorite, a big knockout guy. He's 12-2 with 10 knockouts. So he's a really big-time fighter. Came from kickboxing, so I don't know if mixed martial arts fans were too familiar with him before, but I think his fight with Izzy kind of gained him a big kind of following, and then he's finished it off with his performances. Like I said, ever since he's moved up to light heavyweight, he's looked really good. He's finished everybody but one fight. I think his first fight at light heavyweight, he didn't get a finish, but he's knocked out everybody since. He's got two knockouts over Yuri, who's a big-time fighter as well. But I think he's facing his toughest test this weekend. Magomed, just to correct you from earlier, Magomed is 20-1, and he's not much of a striker. He does have 10 KOs, but he is Russian, so his base is wrestling. He can stand up, but he is a good wrestler, and that is one area where Pereira has struggled. Everybody he's fought who has attempted to take him down has been able to take him down. So I think the wrestling will be an issue if Ankalaev can get it there. If Pereira can keep it on the feet, I mean, he's got an advantage over anybody once the fight's on the feet. So it's very interesting to see which style can kind of take over. You know, it's the old grappler versus striker matchup. So it'll be very interesting. It's a very exciting fight.
And according to the ESPN app, Pereira is the very slightest of favorites.
Yeah, I think it's went back and forth.
Oh,
At one point, I think I saw it was a pick 'em. So
yeah, it's minus 115 for Pereira, minus 105 for Ankalaev. So pretty much
yeah.
a toss up. They're the same size. As you said, Pereira is way better at standing. So and matchups make fights.
Yes, exactly. Especially in mixed martial arts, because you never, especially the wrestling. Some guys have such dominant wrestling; they can control a fight. You know, they can dictate where it goes. So it's a very interesting fight. But you know, I'm a big Pereira fan myself, so I'll definitely be paying attention. But like I said, I feel like this is probably his toughest test.
Where do they stand in the light heavyweight division? What, I mean, I know it's the title fight, but who else is there, and where do they go from here?
Well, if Pereira wins, they're already talking about maybe him fighting the winner of the John Jones Aspinall fight at heavyweight. He's pretty much cleaned out the top five. And like I said, he's beat Yuri twice. And Yuri's probably the second best behind Pereira. So, I mean, he's pretty much cleaned it out already. There's not really anybody left for him at light heavyweight. So I could really see him going up and trying his luck at heavyweight, maybe being the first three division champion. And Dana kind of hinted at that already. So I think that's in the works if he does come out victorious. And with Ankalaev, he'll probably just stay at 205. You know, he hasn't fought any of the top five yet, so you know he could stay there and run through the division.
He's 37, getting a little bit up there in age, but probably near his prime, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a little extended promise fighting, but
Yeah.
you know that window does shut.
So it'll be interesting to see if that if that's Saturday night or not. If that's starting to catch up to him, because he's about that age where in fighting you start to see a little fall off. Not with everyone for sure. A lot of guys,
Right.
a lot of guys are still at their best near 40. They got that grown man strength, you know.
The heavier the weight, the better you are, the older you get. So it's kind of like, the
Yep.
heavier weight you are,
Yep.
you don't really age as fast because your power still can carry you.
Right.
And that's one thing Prayer has is he's got loads and loads of power.
Yeah, we've been learning that forever in boxing. I mean, the heavyweight division, the guys go for a long time, and not the case with most other divisions. So there's also a really good lightweight fight on the card. Tell me about Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev.
Yes, so that is an actual rematch from March of 2023, and Justin Gaethje did get the split decision win over Fiziev in that fight. So it's a short notice fight for Fiziev. Gaethje was scheduled to take on Dan Hooker, but Dan Hooker got hurt, so Fiziev took the fight on probably a week's notice. Now he was in camp for another fight he had scheduled. Um, so I wouldn't say he was clearly, not prepared, but it is, Gaethje's a tough guy to kind of prepare for because he's a violent guy. Gaethje has 25 wins and he's got 20 KOs. He fights like a madman. He does have 5 losses, so he'll throw himself into the fire. But Gaethje's good. He's good on the feet. He's got wrestling. He doesn't really show up much because he loves to stay on his feet. He's a good kicker. He's one of those guys that really likes to kick as well. He's actually got some knockouts from leg kicks. He stopped a couple of guys with leg kicks. He's got some head kick knockouts. So Gaethje's a really exciting fighter. Fiziev, he's a lot slicker. He's a good stand-up fighter as well. He's super fast. He's got really good hand speed. And he, like I said, they fought before. He looked very good the first round in the first fight, and then Gaethje kind of got a little chaotic in the second and third, and kind of was able to take the fight from him. But Fiziev is good. He's 12-3. His last loss, I really wouldn't count against him. He blew his knee out in the fight and was unable to continue.
Mm.
But he's recovered from that. Like I said, he did have a fight scheduled coming up. But before he fought Gaethje the first time, he had won 5 straight. He does have a knockout over a former champion in Rafael dos Anjos. So Fiziev is good. This fight, man, it's a toss-up. I think Gaethje's going to win just because of like we said earlier, styles make fights. And I think his style, he's able to mix it up a little bit better for Fiziev. I would think if you went straight boxing, I would think Fiziev has the better hands because of his speed. But when you mix it all up, I think with Gaethje's kicks and just the way he kind of just fights, he's real chaotic, comes forward. I think Gaethje's able to win, but I think it does. I'm more confident that it goes to a decision than I am, but I do think Gaethje wins by decision.
So why is Fiziev a almost 2-1 favorite?
The odds makers like Fiziev. Like I said, he's good.
You just disagree.
I don't know. I just disagree, man. I really like Justin Gaethje for the first fight. I feel like he saw how to beat him in the first fight, and I think he can do it again.
Anything
But
else?
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I think Fiziev is good. Wouldn't surprise me.
Would it surprise you if Ankalaev beat Pereira? What that wouldn't surprise you either, would it?
No, not because of the wrestling aspect. Now, if he was to stay on his feet and knock Pereira out, now that would be super surprising. Like something like that would
Well,
be
yeah.
surprising. But I mean, like I said earlier, Pereira's had I think 3 or 4 people he's fought that's tried to take him down. All 4 were successful. Wrestling's not really his strong point. He got into the game older. That's a really tough sport to pick up at an older age and fairly quick. So I just don't think he's going to have the wrestling to compete with him if Ankalaev can get in. Now, Pereira could catch him early and hurt him. You can change a fight. That it's always interesting when you have a guy who can end the fight or change a fight with one strike like Pereira can, and he can do it with his feet as well. So he's super dangerous on the feet. So I think Ankalaev would be playing with fire if he does try to stand with him. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to take him down and beat him that way.
Not a lot of good boxing coming up, is there?
Yeah, there's actually a couple really good cards coming up. I think the lightweights that's on the Madison Square, or no, I think they're doing Times Square. Um,
Oh, all right.
that's not, yeah. I know that the Turk Ali, he's doing a Riyadh season in Times Square. So I think that card's coming up
That's not
close,
till
and
May
that's
2nd.
well, I mean it's close enough. And then you got and Canelo and Skulls coming up as well.
All right. Well, let me re-ask the question. No big boxing matches in the next couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I think we got a little break. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something, but yeah, nothing crazy big.
March 29th is the next significant title fight. That's Mayer and Ryan for the welterweight title. So we're gonna have a few weeks here, probably not talking about boxing. So good thing that the MMA is picking up.
Yeah, and that the boxing will pick up at the end of the year. I think I just saw the other day that Turk was able to sign a deal with Inoue, so Inoue's going to have two fights towards the end of the year. So that'll be fun. He's always fun to watch.
Right.
I love watching Inoue fight, especially maybe he'll be able to fight. He'll let him fight somewhere not Japan where I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to watch him fight.
And I saw Keith Thurman is fighting on Wednesday this week.
Yeah, he's got a comeback fight.
He must be against an Australian because it's in Australia.
It's one of those where it's because I know he was trying to fight someone else, and this is basically tune-up in his eyes, but I think it might
Right.
be a fight that might give him a little trouble, especially because it's been a while since Keith Thurman's fought. So I don't know. This
Yeah.
could be a surprise for him.
It'd be good to see him come back, but that seems like fighting on a Wednesday is not where you want to be in your boxing career.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
This isn't the Keith Thurman of old.
No, no. Let's see. Let's hope he can get back to where he was, though. Thank you so much for your time, Hanson, and look forward to hearing what happens in the UFC this weekend.
All righty. Thanks as always.
Miss a single segment. And if you're interested in seeing us grow and thrive, please share this podcast with your friends. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.